It is 1:01. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. It is finally officially draft day, and the Tennessee Titans are set to make their pick at number 1 overall when the draft gets started tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear Titans Radio's coverage right here on The Zone starting at 6 following 3HL. In other Titans news, the team and wide receiver Tyler Lockett have agreed to a one-year deal worth $4 million with the ability to be worth up to $6 million with incentives, according to Ian Rappaport. The 2015 third-round pick amassed 661 catches for 8,594 yards, along with 61 touchdowns in his 10-year career with Seattle. In the NBA, the playoffs continue as the Grizz will try to avoid going down 0-3 to the OKC Thunder tonight as Game 3 tips off in Memphis at 8 p.m. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Riding solo today. Hopefully that means that you guys will call in, 615-737-1045. Give us your hottest draft take. What do you think is going to happen either in the first round or the entire draft? Your hottest draft take. We'll give you ours later on in the show. Of course, I still have Jackson behind the glass. Jackson, how are we doing today?
What's up, buddy?
What's up? They left no adults. No adult supervision on the show.
Absolutely no adult supervision. I think we should both be a little frightened, a little scared, but I think we're going to make it to 3 o'clock.
We made it. Listen, we got 2 hours. We made it to draft day. I think that this show has produced some of the best in-depth prospect profile conversations anywhere for Tennessee Titans fans. And I'll also say this. We got Justin Melo. A lot of you probably know who Justin Melo is. The Draft Network, Music City Audible, but we haven't talked to him in a long time, and so he's going to be on. We're going to talk to him about maybe some hidden gems, some undrafted free agents, and some other players to put on your radar. I know that Jackson's got a couple of players that he wants to talk about, but first, so I'm sitting in bed last night, laying in bed, got the dogs in the bed, lights are off, I'm reading my comic books, Comic Book Wednesday, my wife's reading a book on her Kindle, and then I get a message from me, because I'm reading the comic books on my phone, get a message from you, and I see it on the DM. I'm like, what is he DMing me right now? And then you send me that Tyler Lockett announced that he signed with the Tennessee Titans. And then, of course, the national media swoops in and all this kind of stuff. You were thoroughly excited about the Tyler Lockett signing last night. Are you still excited about the Tyler Lockett signing?
I am excited. I think anytime you're going to get a weapon for presumably a rookie quarterback, I think it's something to be excited about, no matter how old Tyler Lockett is, because I did not realize how old Tyler Lockett was when I sent you that.
Now, I don't know if I'm sure other people are like this, but there are certain people that pop up in the NFL that you're like, man, I really admire how that dude plays football. Ironically enough, a lot of them for me have been Seattle Seahawks wide receivers. Deion Branch, who is also obviously a Patriots wide receiver, but also then you have Doug Baldwin. But Tyler Lockett's been a guy that I've liked for a long time. They've been able to keep him since 2015 all the way to 2024. And last year, his usage drops, right? I mean, they have Jackson Smith and Jigba. They have DK Metcalf. They kind of switched up the offense a little bit. So he saw a reduced role. And yes, he'll be 33 in September at the start of the season. But I look at it and I go, again, he's not a deep threat as much anymore. But he is a guy that knows how to get open. And yesterday we were talking about how that's what this wide receiver class or this wide receiver room needed, according to Blaine, was, and me, was like, we need a guy that can get open in a short area, knows how to be there. And really, when you have, just like similar to a tight end, a slot wide receiver can be the best friend for a rookie quarterback because it's all about exploiting the middle of the field and making it easy as possible to have an outlet for a young tight end if the first or second read is gone. So I think that what you're going to see from Tyler Lockett is more than you saw from Tyler Boyd last year. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I do agree with that.
And I think one of the reasons why he's had such longevity is just because, and someone right here says, Brinker the Boa says on the F&M Bank chat, Twitch, or YouTube, Facebook Live, says, and he doesn't take hits. And that's true. He's known for getting down or going out of bounds to avoid taking a hit. And maybe that's why he's had such longevity and why he's mainly been healthy. He's only officially missed 3 games his entire career. That is insane. And again, that goes to the theme of durability. And I think when you're talking about certain prospects in this draft, durability is going to be a big theme that we're going to see from all the players that they draft. With the addition of Tyler Lockett, Jackson, do you think that this plays any real kind of role in how they approach the draft?
I think it makes it more likely for them to trade out of 35.
Yeah, I would say I tend to agree. They still need a guy that can be a chess piece, an inside-outside, but mainly outside wide receiver in this draft. But I do think that this allows them to maybe take a risk and trade back and miss out on maybe a wide receiver that they kind of wanted, but didn't have highly rated at 35. And I also kind of think that this does just a tad maybe push edge rusher up the board a little bit. I don't think it makes a big change. Like if Amika is there, you obviously would take Amika over most edge rushers that are there.
So I have been team don't trade back in round 2, take the best wide receiver available. This pushes me off that a little bit. I would now probably trade back, try to acquire a 3rd-round pick, and try to see what maneuvering I can do to get another top 100 pick, which this new administration has really wanted to get more of.
That's the thing with me is I saw, for those that may not know, if you haven't figured out by now, I'm a big football nerd. And
really?
I built my big board this morning, 222 players on the big board. And then I have 48 undrafted free agents. And this was and I tried to build it, a little bit of my analysis is a tiebreaker, but I try to build it the way the Titans would build it. And I've done it for the last 2 or 3 years. And this was by far the hardest one because I really have no idea what to expect, which makes this really the most boring thing is having the first overall pick and knowing that it's Cam Ward. But the most exciting thing is that we have no freaking clue how this is all going to work. You're talking about 4 different GM figureheads, right? You're talking about Mike Bergonzi, Chad Brinker, Dave Ziegler, and Reggie McKenzie, all with different influence. We don't know how much they're going to weigh, what the staff thinks, because we know the staff has Zoomed interviewed with all the players in their respective positions. So we know that the staff pretty much handled, kind of the grunt work of stuff. So how much does that play into it? So I don't really know what's going to happen and how their big board looks for the most part. I know certain players, but it will just be, to me, it'll be so interesting to see how day 2 and day 3 works out and what kind of insights we can glean about their draft philosophy.
It's going to be interesting. It's a big draft.
Well, they called it on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday or Monday?
Tuesday was the press conference.
Tuesday. Tone setter. This is a tone-setting draft. So this is going to tell you a lot about what this team is right now, what this team views that they will be going into the season, and how far away they are from completing a rebuild. Because right now, let's be honest, they said 2 or 3 year rebuild. And it looks to be like a 2 or 3 year rebuild.
A lot of work to do over there at St. Thomas Sports Park.
Now, Cam Ward can change a lot of things, right? In this rookie class, how it shapes up and how they produce can change a lot of things. But the time for drafting projects isn't right now. So it's time to draft people that can contribute and come in and start. That's why I'm really against Femi Oladeju in the second round, the UCLA edge, is because he's only got 12 games or 10 games at edge, and that's not really what the Titans need. They need a guy that can come in and produce right now with experience at edge, and they need that. I would be very surprised if they don't walk away with players that have long experience in the scheme that they are looking to employ. And to me, I look at it and I go, this is such a crucial tone-setting draft. I agree, and I've always thought that, but like it just is. There's a lot of pressure to get at least 5 of your 8 guys on the field day one, week one.
It's also exciting. It's the first time the Titans are going to pick a quarterback in the top 2 in 10 years.
Yeah, that is insane. I mean, it is exciting, especially the more, I mean, everybody says that Cam Ward's kind of undercovered. I look at it and I go, like, Cam Ward, every morning there's a new long form article about his rise in history and all this kind of stuff. And then, of course, Josh Pate today on his late show with Josh Pate?
I believe it's the college football show with Josh Pate.
Oh, it's just the college football show with Josh Pate. He had like a 4.5 minute clip of talking about 3 different stories about Cam Ward and all this stuff. So, like, I'm very excited. I just don't know what the staff is going to do and how they're going to handle this. But I did think what I really loved about having Jory Epstein, nailed it, Jory Epstein yesterday was that she brought up something that I haven't really thought about is like, okay, yeah, you have all this experience at all these different all these different offensive schemes. That's good, but it also shows now plenty of evidence in 3 different schemes on what you do well and what you don't do well in those schemes. And you can almost take a little bit, if you're a good smart head coach and smart offensive coordinator, you can take a little bit from everywhere and you know what to avoid. What do you think? You like that?
It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting. All right, when we come back, we'll talk to Justin Melo of the Draft Network and Music City Audible that you can listen to on the 440 Sports Network. And then, of course, later this hour, we'll start our 32-team first-round mock draft with trades. And then in 220, our full Tennessee Titans mock draft. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here at 104.5 The Zone.
There are a lot of diagnoses out there, and there's a pill for everything. But not all diagnoses are accurate, and not all pills are good for you. Hey, it's Blaine Bishop. And when you got a diagnosis for European auto repair, get a second opinion before you make a major decision. And Eurofix is the home for second opinions. And before you spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on European vehicle repair from a diagnosis, go to Eurofix. It could not only save your vehicle's life, but could actually save you from a lot of stress that can ruin your freaking weekend. And life's too short to get stressed out and angry. So be happy and go to Eurofix. And at Eurofix, you also get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit. And not high-pressure sale tactics. And a 3-year nationwide warranty plus a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And at Eurofix, you never pay dealer pricey, because they're family-owned for 26 years, located in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. Those dumb blames, did you?
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all four season garage doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Blaine is out today. I'm riding solo, but not for long as we bring in Justin Melo of the Draft Network and, of course, Music City Audible and the 440 Sports Network. And also, just in case you guys forgot, author of the book, Titans of the South, History and Photographs of the Tennessee Titans. Justin, I'm going to start off right off the bat. Why Cam Ward at number 1? And do you think the Titans taking the eighth best, easy for me to say, eighth best player in Cam Ward at 1 is a reach?
Well, I don't know if he's the 8th best player. Probably wouldn't have him in my top 5.
Well, let me say this.
He would come
the eighth is according to Arif Hassan's consensus big board. So
consensus.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely. Well, look, I firmly believe that the Titans, when they came into this process, now, no decision was made early, and they always said they were going to be thorough. But I think if you could really sit down and have an honest conversation with them, I don't think they thought Cam Ward was going to be the pick back in January, right? I think all the rumors were Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter. We won't pass on a generational player. I think they would have considered trading the pick. By all accounts, Cam Ward really just impressed them throughout the pre-draft process. I don't think this is a decision being made out of quarterback desperation, quote unquote. Remember, the first time they met him face-to-face was at the NFL Combine. They had about a 20-minute formal with him. Everything indicates he blew them away, right? Very impressed with that. Then they schedule his top 30 pre-draft visit before free agency. You know as well as I do, strategically done, right? Before free agency opens, are we going to be in the market for one of these veteran bridge quarterbacks, Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, whatever else was out there? They bring Cam in. To me, that's really when the tide started turning and he started becoming the favorite to be the number 1 overall pick. But again, by all sources indicate that meeting went really, really well. Blew them away from a personality standpoint. You've all read the stories that have come out recently about his leadership qualities. That really came through during that 30 visit, and everything else was just solidified. The pro day was great, and they go back to Miami a couple days later for the private workout. Amy Adams-Strunk flies the private jet to that private workout. To me, this isn't a case of a team getting desperate and reaching for a quarterback. They would have had patience. Mike Borgonzi's got a long leash. He just got here. This is a case of the quarterback blew them away.
Let me ask you a question. How much do you think that the coaching staff input mattered on this decision? Because obviously you could say that they're kind of entering the season on the hot seat. They went 3-14 last year. This is a new regime. This is not a general manager that hired this head coach. Because wouldn't you then speculate after hearing all that, kind of feeling like, hey, this kind of feels like this is a future of the franchise bigger than the team kind of thing, and that this is more of a Mike Bergonzi, not to say that, Callahan and Holtz and all those guys don't like him. It's just that, regardless of if they liked him or not, this was the pick.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think Brian Callahan is thrilled that they're making this decision. I mean, look, let's be honest. He's coaching for his job this coming season. And he wasn't going to save it with a Justin Fields or another year of Will Levis or a bridge quarterback. Titans go 6-11, 7-10 with a bridge. I don't think that saves Brian Callahan's job. So where I kind of land on that is he's very happy that they're making this pick. He wants them to make this pick, but they're not making this pick because that's what he wanted, right? I think, as you said, they did not
that's just
hire
an added
him.
bonus.
We know what that often entails in the NFL, right? When they did not hire you, there is no loyalty to you. He's got a seat at the table, right? As he should as the head coach. But he did not make this decision, in my opinion. I think this is a Mike Borgonzi and a Chad Brinker decision. But Brian Callahan is thrilled with the decision, and he's on board with it.
So Tyler Lockett late last night, 10:39 p.m. He ends up tweeting and all this stuff that he has signed with Tennessee Titans. Of course, then the reports come out. He signed a 1-year, $4 million contract worth up to $6 million. Do you think, because I kind of get the sense that this doesn't really change much, but it could just give them a little bit more flexibility than what they already have. But do you think this changed anything about the draft strategy?
No, I don't think it does. He's going to be 33 by the time week 4 rolls around. It's a 1-year deal. It's a low-cost deal. We always say the draft is for 2026 and beyond, right? And Tyler Lockett's probably not going to be here in 2026. Sure, it gives them, a bit more flexibility, as you said, as a guy that's obviously going to play right away in their starting lineup, right? So it puts a little bit less pressure on them to draft a receiver that can play right away because they know they've got at least two of them in Calvin Ridley and Tyler Lockett. I think they've got a veteran who's been around in Van Jefferson. They still believe, Bryce Oliver, they're going to give a chance to play some reps. Traylon Burks is still there as of now. Jaquan Jackson will be in his second year. So, I think it does give them a bit more flexibility. I said this morning elsewhere. I think Tyler Lockett's going to have a bigger off-field impact than he does on-field. I think he is what he is at this rate. If you're expecting more than like 45 catches, 500 yards, your expectations are probably too high. He might give them a bit more than what Tyler Boyd gave them last year. But this is a multi-time Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. He's a team captain, an absolute leader in the locker room. When you've got a rookie quarterback, you've got a new general manager, and you're trying to establish sort of a new culture and take things in a different direction, you can't do much better than having Tyler Lockett be one of the leaders in that room. So he's going to have a tremendous impact on the young receivers, whoever they draft this weekend. He'll be reliable for Cam Ward. Cam will appreciate having him. But no, they still need to go out there and get some receivers with some future upside.
Well, talking about getting wide receivers with future upside, I mean, the 35th overall pick, I know what you want them to do. I know that you are team trade back because I am kind of team trade back. Now, there's obviously certain players that fall that you wouldn't trade back. But what do you think the Titans will end up doing with the 35th overall pick?
I don't think it's going to be a wide receiver, and I don't mean to take a cop-out answer here. I think it's going to be edge or trade back, right? I think for me, we talked about trade back. I think Igbuka is one of my, you sprint the card to the podium kind of pick, right? Like if he's there at 35, I don't think you trade back, and I don't think you take something else. I think there's going to be better edge rushers available than receivers. Ultimately, I think the edge class is a bit deeper, and there's a few more of those, fringe first-round players at that position than there is at wide receiver. I think you're on the same page as me where they almost can't do anything at 35 that would shock me, right? Like we spent the last couple of weeks saying, well, what if it's an interior offensive lineman or what if it's a defensive tackle? Like, I don't know that there's any, based on their visits and the positions that they've targeted, I don't know if there's anything they can do that'll totally stun. I'm of the opinion that it should be edge or wide receiver or trade back, but it seems like they're really going to take a best player available approach. And if that means it's a guard, then it's a guard.
You do a yearly interview series where you interview hundreds of prospects for the Draft Network. Who has been the most awesome interview you have had so far?
I hate this question every year because they're like all my children. But as of today, we published 221 on the Draft Network. So it was a really fun year to sit down with guys. There were a couple guys that really stuck out to me. One who I think is going to be an excellent player. I give this answer before. Quinshon Judkins from Ohio State, the running back. When I turn the tape on, I just see a guy that has the vision, power, and speed to develop into a three-down back at the next level. Yet he goes to Ohio State this past year from the portal, helps them win a national championship, has to share the ball with Trey Henderson. They both go over 1,000 yards this past season, and he never complained. And I spoke to a couple guys on staff there. He's just a team-first guy. He's just got an excellent attitude. He's got a phenomenal reputation with that staff. That really came through, when I talked to him. Another guy that really impressed me that I don't think's getting enough credit throughout this pre-draft process, and I talked to him with Dane Brugler recently, and Dane said the same thing, is Jared Ivey, a D lineman out of Ole Miss. I talked to him about all the different positions he played on the D-line. I asked every D lineman, talk to me about positional flexibility, versatility, where did you play? He gave me a 10-minute answer. He went through every position he played and the responsibilities of each role and how he executed that assignment. Now, he didn't test that well. He's not the biggest, longest guy in the world, but and this is what Brugler said, just a damn good football player that's going to play for 8, 9, 10 years. Team-first guy, flexible, versatile, red-hot motor, high football IQ. When I think of the 221, I sat down with and I did Jared Ivey in February. So the fact that I'm still remembering that one and Quinshon Judkins, those two really stuck out to me.
It's really interesting because Jared Ivey at one point was talked about as a top half of the second round when this whole process starts, and now he's down in the fourth round, which makes me think that, like, okay, what you just said, 10 minutes of a guy that is a dang good football player that it will play any position that you ask him to and give it his all. That sounds like a Tennessee Titan to me.
I'm high on him. The Titans have multiple picks in the 4th round. You know, we know they've sniffed around D linemen. He's not a traditional edge, in my opinion. He's got that inside-outside flexibility. For me, if I'm the Titans, I don't target that spot at 35, D tackle. But, in the 4th round with multiple picks, if you trade down, you're going to have another pick probably in the 3rd. That's a guy that just strikes me as a really good ball player. I think we're overcomplicating the evaluation. I get it. He didn't test well. Or as well as you. It wasn't a disaster, but he didn't test as well as you'd hope. And then again, there's some measurable questions there. Just a really good player. I think we're going to look back on and say, why the hell did we let him slip where he did?
When you look at the running back position, because you're just talking about Quinshon Judkins, and we're talking about, the 35th overall pick, there's been some crazy mocks out there. I've seen, and from respectable people, by the way, but I've seen where Omari and Hampton has fallen. I've seen where they're, Quinshon Judkins could be there. Travion Hinders could be there. If they went running back, let's say not Caleb Johnson, let's say one of those 3 running backs at 35, what do you think is the situation and why they went that when they have Tony Pollard and why they went with those guys?
Well, I said earlier that they can't do much that would shock me. That one is right there on the border. I do think that would qualify as shocking to me, and we all know they've sniffed around the position. If they go with a running back at 35, a couple of things. Number one, I'm not convinced that this regime has much of a future plan for Tajay Spears. I don't know that he's a guy that they see here in 2026 and beyond. Tony Pollard, we know, is entering the 2nd year of a 3-year contract. That, of course, that's not a rookie deal. So the fact that he's on a 2nd contract already, there's some tread on those tires and there's been some injuries. If they go back at 35, I think they're taking those 2 things into consideration. But you've also got to pair that with this was by far the best value on our board, right? Like, if it's Omari on Hampton, he is our 12th ranked prospect, and we can't believe he's here at 35. We don't have a 24-year-old superstar at the position, so we're just going to go ahead and take him. And we know that, the value is not going to look great in 2025. He's going to share the ball with Tony Pollard. Tajay Spears is going to get into that mix. But in 2026 and beyond, there's a decent chance he's a 3-down back, probably our number 1. Again, from a value perspective, highly, highly questionable. It's a non-premium position, number 1. Number 2, you've got 2 players at the position right now that you like. So, yes, it would be a bit of a stunner. And if they do it, it's because it was a BPA approach.
What level of importance do you put on the 30 visits, the local days, and the virtual meetings? Because you obviously report almost all of them yourself. And, the defensive line conversation was interesting for a little bit. Then you've seen them bring in running backs. They've shown a lot of interest in wide receivers, a lot of interest in even long snappers. I mean, they brought in like 2 or 3 long snappers. I mean, when you start looking at all the visits in one overview, what level of importance do you actually put on it?
Well, I think you got to separate them, right? Like, obviously, the most notable are the pre-draft 30 visits. You could only meet with you only bring 30 to Nashville, as you just said. For me, and I talked to Dane Brugler about this the other day as well, and I push back on social media all the time to people who say it doesn't matter. It's ridiculous to think they don't matter at all, right? Like, there are 500-plus prospects in this class. You get to bring 30 of them. The 30 that you select, you have some level of interest in. Now, a lot of times, what the part of it that people don't acknowledge is you might have a question on a prospect that you want clarified, but you're not bringing him in if you don't like him. And I'll give you an example. Kyle Williams, very popular mock draft target for the Titans. He had like 10 pre-draft visits, okay? The Titans definitely like him. But there's also a hamstring injury there. I believe he tweaked it it was either at Combine or Pro Day. But a lot of these teams, that's a perfect example of how you use a 30 visit. I like this guy. I got a grade on him. I love the tape. But let me check on that hamstring injury before I make a decision in April, right? So there's some level of interest. Now, with local days, especially if you're the Titans, unfortunately, they don't have great access to that, right, in terms of the programs that they're allowed to bring in guys from. So you're really just trying to collect the best group of talent you can. They had a ton of guys that were interested. Jesse Johnson, a DB out of Austin P. They had Amir Noor, a DB out of Wofford. They had Stephen Losoya, a interior lineman out of Vanderbilt. Like, they had a couple interesting guys. They had, I think, Omari Thomas out of Tennessee. So there are some interesting guys there. And a couple of names I just rounded off on hint, I'm fairly confident are going to be UDFAs of the Titans on Saturday. But the locals obviously very, very different. But with those top 30s, it's a player, it's a prospect that you like, you've got a good grade on, but maybe there's also a lingering question you want answered.
Well, a guy that they have shown interest in is a guy that I recently saw on Music City Audible, where you, in a dueling mock draft, you had the Titans selecting wide receiver out of South Alabama, Jamal Pritchett. Talk about the interest they've shown in him, and why did you decide to go ahead and take him in the 6th round instead of maybe seeing if you could get him as an undrafted free agent?
Well, I was just kind of trying to choose a player that I think they clearly might bring in here at some point. Now, they've had at least 3 touch points with him. That's interesting, right? They met him at the Senior Bowl. He was down there, as you know. They brought him in for a pre-draft 30 visit. He was one of the later visits they had. And they had a Zoom meeting prior to that visit with him. So they've at least 3 touch, and maybe there was even more than 1 virtual. So 3 pre-draft meetings, touch points with him. He's 5'8", 175, severely undersized, obviously, to play a traditional role at wide receiver at the next level. He was a combine snub, but again, he was in Mobile, so teams saw him there. And then he had a good day at Pro Day. He ran about a 4.39, 4.40, excuse me, in the 40-yard dash. So good workout, more than 1,100 receiving yards this past year for South Alabama. He was a workhorse for them. What really intrigued me about him, and I'm going to guesstimate that it's kind of what interests them as well, is the special teams ability. You know, this is one of the worst teams in the league this past year, returning kicks and punts. They've got a new special teams coach, arguably the best in the league in John Bones Fossil. And they're going to put some emphasis on there. Now, you know, the guys that returned kicks last year, I don't think they'll be doing so this year, right? A Jaquan Jackson, a Mason Kinsey, a Julius Chestnut. They did bring in James Prochet II in free agency. That's going to give them an option in the return game. But I expect them to use one of those late-round picks or, target one in undrafted free agency to kind of come in, maybe give them more upside, give James Prochet some competition at that spot. And Jamal Pritchett, to me, seems like a guy that's going to be a Tennessee Titan.
Producer Jackson has a question for you.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about Tennessee running back Dylan Sampson. I feel like he's in the mix of all these different running backs in the mid-rounds. Where do you see Dylan Sampson going, and what do you think he projects as at the NFL level?
Yeah, late 3rd round grade, maybe early 4th. I think he's in that upper echelon of those mid-tier backs, but I talked to a scout the other day. This is an interesting note on the running backs in general, who said to me, you're going to get running backs drafted in the 6th round this year that would have gone in the 3rd round last year. And I pushed back because I asked that scout about a specific prospect that I think's a 3rd round player, 4th round player, and he said probably round 6. And I said, screw me, well, why? And he just said to me, day 3 is so much more unpredictable than you realize. If you make it to day 3, you don't know when you're coming off the board. The boards are just so different around the league, especially once you get to that round 4 and onward. So I really like Dylan Sampson, and he was one of the 221 I sat down with. I talked to him about waiting his turn. Remember, he sat behind Jabari Small, who was a Titans UDFA a couple of years ago. He sat behind Jalen Wright, of course. He got his opportunity this year. 22 touchdowns, I think he rushed for, something along those lines. Exploded when he got his opportunity. A really good football player. I think he's very agile in space. And I think he's a little underrated, running up between the tackles as well. So, guy that I'm really high on. I don't think he's going to come in be a full-time 3-down player, but he's going to be a part of a really good rotation at the next level.
Justin, you got an article dropping tomorrow morning where you spoke to Kyle Williams, Xavier Restrepo, Jacoby George, Sam Brown Jr., and guess what all those people have in common, if just in case you do not know? They all played with Cam Ward. And your article tomorrow is going to be what they had to say about Cam Ward. Can you give us a little bit of an overview or preview of what to expect in this article dropping tomorrow?
Yeah, this was a couple of months in the works, and it only came to me about 2 months ago, and when I decided to try to start putting it together, I'll tell you this. This is how much those guys love and appreciate Cam Ward. By the time I decided to write this article, I had already spoken with Xavier Restrepo. I had already interviewed him, and I didn't ask him anything about Cam Ward during that interview. I go, damn, I wish I was able to talk to him about it. So I shoot him a text. I say, Xavier, I'm writing something on Cam. You think you'd have 2 minutes to maybe give me something on him at some point? I know you're busy. It's not like I got that kind of relationship with him. It was a one-off interview. He called me 3 minutes later. He said, yeah, let's talk about, I'd love to talk about Cam Ward. And he knew it was specifically about Cam. It was not an article about him. He gave me some phenomenal stuff. Kyle Williams, I'll say this, might have given me my favorite quote in the entire, conversation. This article drops tomorrow morning. It'll be on my Twitter at JustinM_NFL. It's on Titansized.com. Kyle Williams is like, he goes into detail about his pre-draft 30 visit in the article, by the way. Talks about, what they talked about Cam Ward, talked about Nick Holtz, who coached him at UNLV, Jacoby George, Sam Brown. I got with them a little later, two of his other favorite receivers at Miami. I'm just really excited to release this in the morning. I was very fortunate to be able to talk to, I'd argue, his four favorite receivers, over the previous two wide receivers over the previous two seasons. So I think the people are going to love it when they read it tomorrow morning.
Do you think the Titans end up with one of those guys in this draft? I mean, is 35 too high for Kyle Williams, or is Kyle Williams going to fall the fourth round? Or maybe it's Xavier Strepo in the fourth round, or Sam Brown is UDFA. What do you think is going to happen with this group of wide receivers? Because I do think they end up with one of them.
Yeah, there's so many options, and you could add Elijah Arroyo. I know you said wide receivers, or Damian Martinez to the mix. They've got so many options to go get a guy that knows and played with Cam Ward. I think 35 is a little rich for Kyle Williams for my blood, but in my final Titans mock draft scenario, I had them trading down about 10, 15 spots. All of a sudden, I think Kyle Williams looks a lot better there. I think Restrepo will be there at the top of the fourth round. That 40 that he ran at Pro Day hurt his draft stock a little bit. As you mentioned, I think George and Sam Brown are both like late day 3 UDFA types. Titans are going to have a lot of options to get one of these receivers. Now, of course, Kyle Williams and Restrepo are the two that are most intriguing, right? They're the two best of that group. Restrepo going over 1,000 yards this year. Kyle Williams exploding this year after having a good season with Cam in 2023. So it certainly feels like at least one of them is going to be a Titan by the conclusion of the weekend.
All right, Justin Melo, you can read this interview where he interviewed all of the pass catchers for Cam Ward over the last few years. Tomorrow morning, check out his Twitter at JustinM_NFL. And of course, you can read all of his prospect interview articles over at the Draft Network. And then, of course, you can hear him a couple days a week. Was it 2 days a week? Isn't that right? On Music City Audible at the 440 Sports Network?
We've got no schedule. We don't know what we're doing half the time. It's at least twice a week. Sometimes it's 4 or 5, but it's a minimum of 2 episodes a week.
And then, of course, you can read his book. He's the author of the book, Titans of the South, History and Photographs of the Tennessee Titans. Justin, I really appreciate you guys coming on. We'll have you on after the draft to talk about the prospects and maybe some of the UDFAs.
Pleasure as always. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Jackson, you said you have some Tennessee Titans breaking news. Can we call it Tennessee Titans breaking news?
I don't think it's that yet.
Okay.
But Cam Ward has picked his walkout song for when he gets drafted.
Okay, so we're going to hear what that song is after the break. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Ever wonder how I keep my mojo? Hey, it's Blaine Bishop here, and if you're looking for the best tacos in town, you gotta check out Mojo's Tacos. They've got 3 amazing locations, including my favorite spot in Nolensville. And Mojo's Tacos is where the magic happens. Whether you're craving their mouth-watering carne asada, the delicious fish tacos, or their famous street corn, they've got it all. And don't forget, try their house-made salsa, because it packs a punch. I just had some this past weekend. And each location has a great vibe, perfect for family night or catching up with your friends. Plus, their friendly staff will make you feel right at home. So head on over to Mojo's Tacos and taste the difference. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Mojo's Tacos, 3 locations and one unforgettable experience.
This is Cam Ward's walkout song right here. The song is, Jackson?
Freestyle by Rod Wave.
Freestyle by Rod Wave. Doesn't really get you the blood pumping, though. I mean, like, I'm a walkout songs for me got to have that, massive, make your ears bleed kind of, beats to it. What would be your walkout song?
I have not thought about this.
I thought that was the whole reason you wanted to bring this up, because you're like, oh, we could do something really good with this. And I figured that's
No,
what
I
it
just
was.
meant we should talk about Cam Ward's walkout song. What do you think it means for him as a quarterback in the NFL?
Well, that means that he's going to freestyle.
Or does it mean he's calm, cool, and collected because the walkout song is calm? It's a steady beat.
He apparently has a steady pulse. He's apparently like Matty Ice. Got ice in his veins. Maybe that's what it is. But I figured maybe it's just because he likes to freestyle.
What would your walkout song be?
Mine, okay, so we did something for Dawn Davenport. She wanted to do that was it's an Instagram trend. I wanted to choose a bunch of Run the Jewels songs, but they have a lot of inappropriate words at the beginning of it, so I couldn't choose any of those. But that would be at the top of the list. Love Run the Jewels. I thought about some Limp Bizkit. Like some Limp Bizkit. It's the old school 90s kid in me. But really, I'd probably go with Start a Riot by Duckworth, which is off the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie. That's the first one, right? Or is it just Spider-Verse? Don't I know that? I should know that. But that would be the one I would go with. Start a Riot by Duckworth. No O in Duckworth. Has every other letter but the O in Duckworth. Why? I don't get it. We can play that in one of the things because, we have it on here. You could play it. Why not? Why are you shaking your head? You're no fun today. We could do whatever we want today. What is your walkout song?
I'm going to go with Circles by Post Malone. I love that song.
Oh, you would, because I don't like Post Malone. Even I do like Post Nirvana, but I do not like Post
It makes you mad, and it's a great song. So that's a win-win for me. Lock it in as my selection.
We got a couple of got Kashmir by Zeppelin, Bruce Rhodes, and the F&M Bank Challenge, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live. That's one that he would come out to. Casey Jones said his would be the song that plays when you fight Red in Pokemon Gold. So there's whatever song that is.
Do you know that song?
I think I know the song, but I'm not entirely sure. Can you sing it for me? Because I bet you know the song.
We are efforting it currently.
Okay. That's going to make Casey Jones's day because I don't know if you noticed this, but Blaine Bishop has on the back of his phone a Pokemon ball pop socket, Pokeball, and he always comments what Pokemon would Blaine Bishop have caught. Hail Mary by Tupac, Stronger or Power by Kanye. That's from Dixie in the chat. William Jones said the Hail Mary one. Jason McDonald says The Blister Exists, Slipknot. So we got a lot of choices coming in. So I like these walkout choices. Maybe what we'll do is that I'll get back into the YouTube chat later today, and I will make a walkout song for the audience playlist, and I'll send it out on my Twitter. How about that? We'll do that. Don't Stop Believing. Are you rocking out to the Pokemon song?
Yeah, the song goes kind of hard. I'm not going to lie.
Can we play it?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. This is the Pokemon song courtesy of Casey Jones. We have lost everybody. There we go. Okay, so we got shipping up to Boston from Caleb. So we'll make a little playlist for everybody. I'll do that later today. All right. We're about to do a mock draft, but I got a special mock draft for Tennessee Titans fans. I've been in the Tennessee Titans Twitter sewer since 2017, maybe 2016. So I've seen a lot of Twitter takes. And so what I have done is I have compiled what kind of player the Tennessee Titans fans are going to talk about when they draft. So here's what this means. So we'll start off with in the 35th. It will be there you go. With 2.35, the 35th overall pick in the second round, the Tennessee Titans will draft someone you'll complain about. Now, the Titans are on the clock in the fourth round. Are you not going to do it anymore? We're done with that bit? Okay, you got it?
In the fourth round, at pick 102 overall, the Tennessee Titans select somebody you will get entirely too invested in for their skill level.
Ooh, see, that's a good one. So I have yeah, that's a good one. We're going to keep that one there because I think I have something similar. So here's the second pick in the fourth round for the Tennessee Titans. With the 120th pick in the fourth round, the Tennessee Titans draft I can't believe they passed on blank for this guy. So that's when they're going to say, I can't believe they passed on, Jared Ivey for this guy. guy.
The Des Fitzpatrick pick,
The Des
if you
Fitzpatrick, yeah, the Des Fitzpatrick Memorial pick is what we'll call it. All right, we're not going to play the music anymore, but here's one for the 5th round. This guy is a steal. The Tennessee Titans draft, this guy's a steal, but he's got good stats, but toxic traits. Kind of like an Isaiah Bond, if you will. Something like that. With the second 5th round pick, the 167th pick in the 5th round, Tennessee Titans select small school player that everyone will think never got a fair shot by the time he's cut.
So very similar to the 4th round pick.
Yeah, very similar to the 4th round pick. With the 178th overall pick in the 6th round, the Tennessee Titans select the relative athletic score merchant that everyone mentions as a potential breakout player for 3 years until we all admit that he just can't play football.
Racy McMath.
Racy McMath, as for sure. With the last pick, the 188th pick of the 6th round for the Tennessee Titans, they select local kid who media will ask 100 times if he watched the Titans growing up. That is your Tennessee Titans Twitter draft. What'd you think? Did you like that segment, Jackson?
I did thoroughly enjoy that segment.
All right, when we come back, we're going to go through the first round with my first and only official NFL mock draft. This is Cover 2 with the Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here, 104.5 The Zone.
It is 2:01. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. It is officially draft day, and the Tennessee Titans are set to make their pick at number 1 overall when the draft gets started tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear Titans radio's coverage right here on The Zone, starting at 6 p.m. following 3HL. In other Titans news, the team and wide receiver Tyler Lockett have agreed to a one-year deal worth $4 million with the ability to be worth up to $6 million with incentives, according to Ian Rappaport. The 2015 third-round pick amassed 661 catches for 8,594 yards, along with 61 touchdowns in his 10-year career with Seattle. In the NBA, the playoffs continue as the Grizz will try to avoid going down 0-3 to the OKC Thunder as Game 3 tips off in Memphis tonight at 8 p.m. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Store, 615-737-1045 if you want to get in on the conversation. Okay, Jackson, are you ready? We don't have to play the music, but are you ready for the first and only Zach Lyons official mock draft of the first round for the NFL draft tonight? And it's going to be a perfect 32 out of 32. All this will happen, no doubt. Love it. All right, number 1 overall pick.
I'm just going to sprinkle this in randomly. You're never going to know when
I
it's
love
coming.
it. Let's just play a game of Russian roulette with this thing. The Tennessee Titans select Willie Lampkin, center out of North Carolina. Thoughts on the Willie Lampkin pick?
I think, I don't know how work would be tomorrow. I don't know how that would be received, bud.
It will be Cam Ward. That is the official pick. I just had to give a shout out to producer Bert of the Buck Rising Show. He likes to go by Bert Turdslinger. He's the one that put that out there at Jim Wyatt's mock draft. That's what he calls it, Bert Turdslinger. All right, Cleveland Browns with the second overall pick take Travis Hunter. Abdul Carter goes to the New York Giants. Will Campbell goes to the New England Patriots. And guess what? We have a trade. I figured you want to play that for that one. All right. We're not going to. I love it. The Jacksonville Jaguars trade back with the Chicago Bears, who trade up for Ashton Jeanty, the running back from Boise State. Raiders are on the clock, and they take Kelvin Banks Jr. They're going to do the foolish thing and try to play him at tackle, and then they'll end up having to put him at guard. But that's what the Raiders are rumored to be doing by a lot of people. Then we're going with the New York Jets are on the clock. They take Armand Mimbu, the Missouri tackle, who is better than Kelvin Banks. That's who the Raiders should take, but they're not going to take him. Then the Panthers are on the clock with pick number 8. And they take Georgia hybrid defender, Jalen Walker. And guess what? The New Orleans Saints are on the clock at number 9. And they take Mykel Williams, edge out of Georgia. So we're going to go 2 Georgia defenders back-to-back here in the same division, the NFC South. So that will be some good fodder for when they play twice a year. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars, who traded out of 5 into 10, they select Mason Graham, interior defender out of Michigan. So Mason Graham does not fall. Now, what's been interesting is that he has fallen in a lot of drafts, but I don't think he's getting out of the top 10. There's no way he should really be out of the top 5, but I don't think he's getting out of the top 10. Now we have San Francisco 49ers on the clock at pick 11, and they are selecting interior defender Walter Nolan out of Mississippi.
Ooh.
You like that one?
I've seen Walter Nolan fall in a lot of drafts, so you have him going pretty early.
This is actually, I'm not going to lie, This is actually a trendy pick amongst a lot of experts when I was doing some research this morning for something different that we'll talk about in the last segment. But Walter Nolan, they don't think that he's really going to fall. They think that the concerns are going to be overblown. And listen, you go to San Francisco with Walter Nolan, they have a good established veteran defense. They have good coaches. They have a good culture established. This would be a great place for Walter Nolan to land. The Dallas Cowboys are on the clock at 12. And this one I had a lot of going back and forth on. Do they take Matthew Golden? Do they take T-Mac, Tatoria McMillan, over from Arizona? Do they take Tyler Booker, which has been a very, very popular pick? But I have them taking T-Mac, the Arizona wide receiver, at pick 12. Dallas Cowboys take it from there. At number 13, the Miami Dolphins are on the clock, and this was a tough one. I really thought about getting wild and taking Matthew Golden with the Miami Dolphins, because wouldn't that be insane to have Jalen Waddle, Matthew Golden, and Tyreek Hill? And I was like, no, that probably is not going to happen. And I was like, well, what if they take Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State? That would be awesome. And then I was talked off a ledge by Bert Turdslinger, and so we went with Jahdae Barron, the cornerback out of Texas, for the Miami Dolphins. But, man, it would be kind of fun to see those offensive weapons, see Skylar Thompson for 9 games throw to the – or I guess it's Zach Wilson throw for 9 games, because we know that Tua is going to miss some. All right. The Indianapolis Colts are on the clock, and this one hurts my heart, Jackson. I don't like doing this one. But the Indianapolis Colts end up with Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State.
I don't like that.
I don't like it. They're going to end up with one of those tight ends. It's either going to be Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland, depending on who falls or who gets drafted. But in this particular draft, the world's most accurate mock draft, where every pick is for sure going to happen no matter what, Tyler Warren is going to be the pick for the Indianapolis Colts.
If they take Tyler Warren, is there a chance that Loveland makes it to 35?
Not in this draft, my friend. Not in this draft. And here we go. Atlanta Falcons at pick number 15. Now, you guys know that I've been sort of sour on this prospect. But I think that James Pierce Jr. ends up going to the Falcons at the 15th overall pick. So that would make him a top 15 prospect, which is somewhere in between what everybody thought he was a year ago and what everybody thinks he is now. So I'm going, splitting the difference. James Pierce Jr. going in the first round, going at pick 15 to the Atlanta Falcons. And the good thing is that, he gets to play in Atlanta, where the SEC championship usually is, and he's never had the chance to play in that arena, in the SEC championship. So now he'll have a chance to do that a few times a year. You didn't like that joke? I thought it was a good joke. All right.
Boo.
The Arizona Cardinals on the clock at 16. They take Jahad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. Bengals are on the clock. 17. They take Mike Green, edge out of Marshall. So I had James Pierce going ahead of Mike Green, which is a little bit of a risk, but I think that's how it's going to go in tonight's draft. Seattle Seahawks trendy pick here from a lot of people is that Gray Zabel, the tackle that will be a guard or a center at the next level at North Dakota State. He'll end up at pick 18. All right. We got to trade, Jackson. You just selling me down the river. The Cleveland Browns, you son of a gun. The Cleveland Browns trade up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to select Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado, to pair with Travis Hunter, wide receiver out of Colorado they took with the second overall pick, and to jump ahead of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who otherwise would take Shedeur Sanders if the pick had fallen to them. Thoughts?
Would you say that Cleveland had perfect timing with this trade?
Yes, I would. Unlike you. Let's go with the Denver Broncos next. This was a tough one, too, because there's 2 wide receivers still on the board. There's a couple of tight ends, or there's 1 tight end on the board. But I ended up going with Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina, going with the Denver Broncos. I know the Denver Broncos even thought about trading up. They've thought about trading back, but I think they stick and pick because I think one of the best running backs in this draft class falls to them and gives them something that they need. And the Steelers, who lost out on Shedeur Sanders, end up taking Kenneth Grett, defensive lineman out of Michigan, which has also been a trendy pick, even with Shedeur Sanders on the board in some mock drafts.
What are the odds they take Jackson Dart?
I just don't think that they like Jackson Dart. I mean, I could see why they would, though, because he's not Ryan Tannehill per se in terms of athleticism, but a lot of the stuff that he can do kind of reminds you of stuff that, Ryan Tannehill could do. We'll see. I just don't think that I think if it's not Shedeur Sanders, they're willing to wait for maybe Jalen Milroe in the second round. That's my thoughts. All right. The Los Angeles Chargers are on the clock, and they take Emeka Ibuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State. So they're going to have Emeka Ibuka, Quentin Johnston, and Ladd McConkey as the 3 wide receivers for Justin Herbert. Now, this is one that I had trouble with as well because I almost put Colston Loveland there. But I think that having to play against Emeka Ibuka there for several years when he was with Michigan, Harbaugh was with Michigan, I think that this is going to be the pick. I think they're going to choose him over Golden. I think they're going to choose him over Loveland. No school loyalty.
I think it's bold to assume that Harbaugh is not going to get
Another lineman?
no a Michigan guy.
I don't know. He didn't get one last year. Did he? Well, I mean, technically he got Hassan Haskins. Then we're going to Green Bay Packers. Matthew Golden, wide receiver. This is going to be the first time they've spent a first-round pick on a wide receiver, at least I think since I've been alive, it feels like. So they're going to go with Matthew Golden because that's too much value to fall that far. So Matthew Golden is the 3rd wide receiver to come off the board, and he's going to the Green Bay Packers. One of my favorite players in this draft, a blue chip player. He goes to the Minnesota Vikings, Malachi Starks. Then we have Donovan Jackson to the Houston Texans. Then we have Colston Loveland goes to the L.A. Rams, which is one of my favorite fits in this draft.
That's a really good
fit.
Yeah.
We got 2 Michigan players. So we got Colston Loveland. Then Will Johnson goes to the Ravens. Bert Turtslinger told me that if Will Johnson's there, you got to run up to the podium.
Yeah, he was projected top 5, top 10 early in the process.
Yep. Will Johnson to the Ravens, Donovan Ezeraku to the Lions because they need all the hedge help they can get. Jackson Dart in a trade up with the Commanders, the Giants, an rare in-division trade. Jackson Dart goes to the New York Giants because that's who Brian Daboll really wants. Trey Amos to the Bills, cornerback out of Mississippi. Josh Simmons, tackle of Ohio State, to the Kansas City Chiefs at 31. And rounding out the first round will be Shamar Stewart to the Eagles, edge out of Texas A&M. That means that Luther Burden has fallen out of the first round. I almost gave Luther Burden to the Eagles, but I went with Shamar Stewart because he can go in that rotation. When we come back, we're going to do a Tennessee Titans mock draft live on the air. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. And we start our Tennessee Titans mock draft. We're going through the rounds. There is possible trade downs. Me and Jackson are going to talk about it, hash it out. We're going to get to you a full Tennessee Titans perfect mock draft. Okay, so obviously Cam Ward's going number 1. We're not taking any kind of trade backs, okay?
Wait, what?
No, yeah. We're no Willie Lampkin.
Is this breaking
just Cam
news?
Ward. Breaking news, Cam Ward. Well, listen, it's breaking news to some people in the F&M Bank chat on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live, because there's people that still think that they're not taking Cam Ward and they still believe in Will Levis, which is the most wild thing. I cannot believe that we're this far into the draft process. There's people that still think that. Okay, Jackson, before we get to what the actual draft looks like on my end, you were playing around with the mock draft, I guess, during work hours when I'm trying to, communicate to you and all this kind of stuff. You were doing a mock draft, and that's fine.
It's
a little
draft day.
hurtful. A little hurtful.
It's the last opportunity you have to do a mock draft is the next 5 hours.
All right. So here we go. You propose as Pro Football Network. Is that where you're at?
Yes.
Okay. So you said that this was the options at number 35, their second round pick, and they were all 3 interesting. So I want to know who they are.
So I have 4 that are interesting to me. Walter Nolan,
Okay.
defensive lineman out of Ole Miss. Omarion Hampton, running back, North Carolina. Luther Burden, wide receiver, Missouri. And Donovan Jackson, offensive guard, Ohio State.
Okay, so we can eliminate Donovan Jackson from the conversation, in my opinion. I love Donovan Jackson, but I look at the other 3 as...
He's interesting.
He's very interesting. I mean, because he's a guy that plays both inside, outside. So these guys are all available at 35. This is not our official one. This is a fun one. I thought was a fun hypothetical. Okay, Walter Nolan, Omarion Hampton, Luther Burden. I think I would go Omarion Hampton, and I think everybody in the chat's going to call me crazy.
I agree with you. I think the value at 35 of Omarion Hampton is something you can't pass up. I don't think it's going to be an option for the Titans because I think he's going to go in the first round.
For sure. But I think 2 of these players go in the first round.
Walter Nolan and yeah. So I don't think my 1 and 2 options most likely would not be there at 35.
Yeah.
Would there be any debate for you between Walter Nolan and Omarion Hampton?
I think I could entertain a debate because Walter Nolan is a guy that just fell. And I mean, like, that's a guy that I had in the top 12 of the draft recently. So I look at it and I go, man, I would be very surprised if he's here. You compare them with Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat. I mean, that provides you a lot of power and beef. But also, is this the right time to introduce someone with some concerns that we don't know anything about, if whether true or not, into this locker room? So I go Omarion Hampton just because I think he's going to be just as... I look at this running back draft class between Omarion Hampton and Ashton Genty as Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think he's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, I think he's going to be that good of a player. And it's in the second round. The Tennessee Titans have really good luck with running backs in the second round. All right. But here's what's really happened in the real world. I've seen into the future. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock at pick 35. I see a couple of players that I think that are 35th overall worthy. Josh Connerly, the tackle out of Oregon. I think that when you look at Nick Emmanuel, the safety out of South Carolina, he is pick 35 worthy. And I see that really, it's a stretch, but I think that Trey Harris is pick 35 worthy. But I think what the most interesting one is right here is Derek Harmon, the defensive lineman out of Oregon, is also here, and he's also 35 worthy. Would any of those guys prevent you from trading back?
I think if you believe in Trey Harris,
you got to go Trey Harris. Because Trey Harris with Tyler Lockett and Calvin Ridley would be a pretty good starting 3 at wide receiver.
And just I don't think I can, unless it's Walter Nolan or a guy who I have in that upper should be a first-round pick tier. I don't think a defensive lineman can keep me from a enticing trade back offer.
Okay, so if I could get a third-round pick and move back, let's say 13, 15 spots, would you take it?
With those on the board?
With those on the board.
Probably.
Okay,
you need a third-round pick desperately.
Okay, we're going to move back to 46, okay, with the Atlanta Falcons. Oh, they don't have a third-round pick, so we're not going to do that.
What about the Cardinals?
We're going to go the Cardinals. Let's go to the Cardinals.
I think the Cardinals love them some Trey Harris.
Okay, so we're going to go with the Cardinals. We're going to get 47, 78. We're going to do kind of a trade they did last year, but in reverse. We're going to give up 35 and 188 to get their second round and third rounder. So we're going to do this. They accepted. And so now we're looking there at, we got Tyleik Williams, defensive lineman out of Ohio State. Savon Revel, the cornerback out of Eastern Carolina University. Darius Alexander, defensive lineman out of Toledo. Braden Swinson, edge out of LSU. You still got Trey Harris on the board.
Oh, so the Cardinals didn't love them some
They
Trey
did not
Harris.
love him. They actually ended up taking, with pick 35, Xavier Watts. So there you go.
Is Landon Jackson there? You know he's a guy I've liked throughout this process.
All right. Landon Jackson is not there. Chicago Bears took him at 35. Do you want to know what edges are there?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to do that for you. Braden Swinson, JT Tuamaloa, Jared Ivey, Femi Oladejo, Josiah Stewart, and Kyle Kennard are your top 6. Or Trey Harris.
Trey Harris.
Or Kyle Williams.
Trey Harris here.
Let's do it. Trey Harris. So we got Cam Ward and Trey Harris. Now we're in the third round. Ooh, I just already see a name that I like. I see my 2 favorite names on this list. And I'm only going to make you choose one of these names. Jackson, are you ready? And I wish I would have got my pronunciation guide because I'm going to need it. Azare Thomas, the cornerback out of Florida State. Great press man corner. We have no clue what's going on with L'Jarius Sneed, okay? No clue. Josiah Stewart, edge out of Michigan, who is a phenomenal edge player. He is, very, very good. He's also good against the run, is there as well. So, do you take a chance on 4th round, finding your edge guy to get a corner like Azare Thomas, who can maybe force Jarvis Brownlee Jr. on the inside? And then maybe you trade for Roger McCreary.
Because we don't know about Sneed, that makes this tough.
Yeah, that is the question.
Because there's not just everything that's obviously going on. There's the injury history there.
He and Azare Thomas, very good corner. And he fits he's like Jarvis Brownlee Jr., but taller. Like, he is physical. He's gonna beat you down. I kind of think you have to go Azare Thomas. You ready? I'm going to pull the trigger. We're doing it. I don't care anymore.
Wait, is Kyle Williams
Too
there?
late. Sorry, gone. Done.
Kyle Williams gone?
Kyle Williams was already gone, though. So you're good. You're safe there. So he's already gone. All right. I got an interesting one for you. And in fact, I'm just going to tell the people why we're making this pick. We're going with Harold Fanning Jr., tight end out of Bowling Green, with the 103rd overall pick.
I like that pick. That's a good pick.
It's a good pick. And again, you're building around your young quarterback. You've gotten Trey Harris. You've now gotten Harold Fanning Jr. You now have a guy that also can block. All you got to do is put a little bit of weight on Harold Fanning Jr. This is the 4th round. This is a guy that people thought could go in the 2nd or 1st round. Put some weight on him. He knows how to block. He'll do whatever. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder because he fell this far. I'm going Harold Fanning Jr. with the 103rd overall pick. We're down at the 120th overall pick. And there's a fan favorite here, or at least a fan favorite.
Any trade offers?
No trade offers. Fan favorite here for the Football and Other F Words family. Isaac Tesla, wide receiver out of Arkansas, is right here. But the Tennessee Titans definitely need some edge help. And it's getting bare. in the cupboard. So here's my question to you. Do you go Tyler Barron, edge out of Miami? You're familiar with Tyler Barron. Our listeners are familiar with Tyler Barron, who had a great year at Miami. Or do you continue to go with wide receiver? Or do you go with safety, with the highest ranked safety on the board being Jonas Sanker, safety out of Virginia? Personal favorite of mine, but fan favorite is Isaac Tesla.
What receivers are available?
The receivers that are available are Isaac Tesla, Tez Johnson, Isaiah Bond, Ty Felton, Pat Bryant, and Kanata Mumpfield, the wide receiver out of Pittsburgh.
I'm going to go with the edge, Tyler Barron.
Let's do it. I like it. It's a reach. We're going to get dinged by PFF on this, but you know what? I agree with you. Let's go. Let's ride. Okay. Now we're getting to the part where I kind of think the Tennessee Titans are going to be looking at running back. But I will say, they have shown interest in Isaiah Bond, and he is still here in the 5th round right now on the clock. But I know that they canceled the 30 visit they had lined up with Isaiah Bond because of the stuff that had came out recently, the alleged assault, sexual assault stuff. So my question to you is Isaiah Bond completely off the board for the Tennessee Titans in your mind, or is Isaiah Bond, 5th round? I remember a 5th round wide receiver with issues that the Kansas City took, who was also a speedy guy, and his name was Tyreek Hill. Do they take Isaiah Bond?
What are the running backs available?
The running backs available are Brashard Smith, Trevor Etienne, Khalil Mullins out of Michigan, Kyle Managai out of Rutgers, Byshal Tootin out of Virginia Tech, and Marcus Yarns out of Delaware.
What do you think? I made the last pick, so this is your
Okay.
turn.
Ooh, I'm going to go right here. I'm checking right now. Yeah. I think I'm going to go running back, and I'm going to go Brashard Smith out of SMU.
That's a smart pick.
I believe so. I believe that's the way you got to go. I know it's going to make people very unhappy, but I think that's the way to go. Because I think if I were to take a guess, I would say the guy that's probably risen up the Tennessee, my sense is the guy that's risen up the Tennessee Titans board at wide receiver is Jalen Noel. The guy that's probably fallen off their board, Isaiah Bond. But I do wonder if maybe there is a breaking point for Isaiah Bond. Tennessee Titans are on the clock. They're in the 5th round, pick 31 overall in the 5th round itself. And I'm going to go ahead and take one, just tell you guys why. It is Craig Woodson, safety out of California. California's defense is awesome. Tennessee Titans need a safety. They beef up their secondary. They need someone for the future. Craig Woodson is that dude. So I'm going Craig Woodson right here. Now, we're already on this is our last pick, Jackson. This is our last pick.
Any trade offers to get another pick?
No trade offers. Nobody wants to trade with us. So I got an interesting proposition for you. We can go with corner. There's Bilal Coon out of Western Michigan. There's also Quincy Riley out of Louisville, who we know they've shown interest in. We can beef up the defensive interior. They have Jared Harrison Hunt out of defensive lineman out of SMU. Or we could go with the quarterback. We have Kyle McCord from Syracuse has fallen to us, and I feel like that's a little bit of a gift. If you want to look at edge, you have R.J. Oben out of Notre Dame, kind of a try-hard guy, never a bad thing to have on your team. Colin Oliver out of Oklahoma State, Fadil Diggs out of Syracuse, and Ethan Downs out of Oklahoma. So not a lot of guys. So we're kind of limping into the offseason at edge. Now, Zadarius Smith is still out there. Maybe you can get Zadarius Smith to come in. But it's looking a little rough at edge. So what do you think the Tennessee Titans do here?
They've already taken a corner.
Mm-hmm.
They've already taken an edge. I'm going to say with all the D-line visits, they haven't beefed it up. I think here with their last pick, they take a defensive lineman.
Boy, oh boy. Does PFF hate this player? And I can't believe that he's down this far. and it's the old boy from Kentucky, Deion Walker, is there.
I would take Deion Walker.
And that is like you run up for Deion Walker,
Yes.
right? That's like, I cannot believe that the rest of the NFL is crazy enough to go for Deion Walker. So we're going to go Deion Walker. So let's run through this now that the draft is over. Okay. So obviously, Cam Ward, number 1 overall quarterback, number 1 overall pick. When we were at pick 35, we traded with the Arizona Cardinals, traded away pick 35 and round 6, 188 for the Cardinals, round 2 pick of 47 and round 3 pick of 78. We ended up with the 47th pick overall, taking Trey Harris, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. Then we took Azare Thomas with pick 78, cornerback out of Florida State. In the 4th round, first pick of the 4th round, Harold Fanning Jr., tight end out of Bowling Green. Then we reached, I told you we get dinged. We got D- for this, but I believe in the player. Tyler Barron's one of my guys. And Tyler Barron, the edge out of Miami, I like what he brings to this defense. Got him in 4th round, 120. We ended up going with running back. I think if Blaine was here, he wouldn't have let us go running back, but we're going running back with Brashard Smith, SMU running back, pick with round 5, 141. We go safety with round 5, 167 is Craig Woodson out of California. And then we got a steal. I mean, I just can't believe this one. And they still gave us a C- for this pick. But this is a steal. Deion Walker, who played last year, by the way, with a fractured back. Played last year with a fractured back. Or a back fracture. I don't know which one's the more appropriate term. I don't even know if there's a difference. And he is huge. So Deion Walker, defensive lineman out of Kentucky, build through the trenches. The only thing that the Tennessee Titans didn't get was maybe a backup offensive lineman or anything like that. But this is a pretty dang good draft. I would give this draft a B+ or an A-.
That's high praise from you.
Yep. Now, according to PFF, we're in bottom 30% of Titans drafts. Our overall draft grade was a B-. I can't agree with that. I think we got some good value. I think the Tyler Barron one's really what got us.
But I like Tyler Barron. I would not be upset if the Titans took Tyler Barron in the 4th round.
I look at it like this. You did enough to surround your young quarterback in one draft. You built up your offensive line already. You got Cam Ward. You got your quarterback of the future. You got Trey Harris, who can line up outside Calvin Ridley. And then you got Tyler Lockett in the slot. You got Harold Fanning Jr. as tight end as a complete and utter upgrade over Chig and anything else you have on the roster. You just gotta improve some stuff, fine tune some stuff. But Harold Fanning Jr., Chig Okonkwo, both are great tight end options for your young quarterback. You go with Brashard Smith to provide you some flexibility if Tyjae Spears gets injured or anything like that. And you still were able to address 3 levels of the defense: Tyler Barron at pass rusher, Craig Woodson at safety, and defensive lineman Deion Walker. When we come back, we're going to catch you up with everything going on in the NFL. We got some NFL draft rumors. We're also going to go to your phone. 615-737-1045 is the number. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 1045 The Zone.
Hey, folks, I've been talking about Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance for years because they're the leading experts in sports medicine and performance and the team physician for the NFL, college, and high school athletics across Tennessee. And TOA provides sports medicine coverage to more high school and college sports teams than in any orthopedic group in the state of Tennessee. They have 29 locations throughout the state and over 100 physicians throughout Middle and East Tennessee to take care of all your musculoskeletal needs. And TOA has 11 urgent care locations with walk-in availability 7 days a week. They offer direct access to sports medicine and performance, physical therapy and nutrition, personalized rehabilitation plans to enhance mobility, reduce pain, and improve overall physical function for patients recovering from injuries or surgeries. And TOA also offers sports performance training, a specialized program designed to enhance athletic performance and provide tailored training solutions for athletes at all levels. So please check out their services at TOA.com. Yes, that's TOA.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors, 615-737-1045. Don't forget tonight, when the draft starts, you can listen to Titans Radio with Coach Mack, Ramon Foster, Amy Wells, Rhett Bryan, and Taylor Zarjord, breaking down the NFL draft for all the picks and everything. And, of course, on Saturday, it's the Megacast with Football and Other Efforts, Draft Megacast. We go live at 11 a.m. despite Jackson's attempts to try to get me to come in later because of some stupid marathon. A marathon.
Godspeed us getting into work on Saturday morning.
A marathon.
Could be 11:03.
Yeah.
Could be 11:30.
We are doing it. So 11 a.m. till the Tennessee Titans take the last pick. Now, if they somehow trade back into the 7th, we will not be coming back. So just make sure on that. Let's go to the phones because it's last call for phone calls for 3HL. And then we're going to do a little buy and sell rumor roundup. Let's go to the phones. And I have done Titans Talk Back. This is my first time doing it, the post-game show. And one thing I do miss is hearing from this lady. And this is Larissa. And Larissa, what you got for me?
Hi, Jack. You are holding it down. You are doing an excellent job, although Blaine is missed.
Yes.
But I love the station. And, this is by far one of the most anticipated drafts tonight. I mean, you have folks that don't even follow sports that are getting their popcorn ready. And although I called yesterday and I said, what if, on another show, 3HL, equally love, shout out to Mayor. But I said, what if they don't choose Cam? NFL is the biggest chess players in any sports league. And, you never know what's going to happen tonight. Not to say that they won't choose Cam, but what if they don't? And remember, the right hand doesn't always know what the left hand is doing. So I am excited about this. Love the station, love the shows, and I'm going to hang up and listen. And, yes, I have my dog with me, so that's why you hear that. All right.
Love it. Thank you for the call. Listen, it would be pretty insane if Cam Ward didn't go. It would be the smoke screen of all smoke screens. It would cause chaos for Titans radio. It would cause chaos for this station. And I am a guy who loves chaos. So I'd be all for it. I don't care what the outcomes are in 3 years when Cam Ward turns into an all-pro or something else for some other team. I live in the short term. I live in the now. And I would love some chaos. If that includes a trade back, if that includes drafting Shadur Sanders, if that includes Travis Hunter, I don't care. Let's just enjoy the chaos, embrace the chaos.
I'm cool with chaos after 101.
Yeah. Well, you're also probably, cool for chaos because, that will get at least people quit talking about Nico and that whole situation, right?
Exactly.
There you go.
Chaos in the second round. Take Cam Ward.
All right. So we're going to do a little buy or sell rumor roundup here in just a minute. So Ryan Fowler, who works for the Draft Network, put out a couple of rumors going around. And some of these are pretty shocking. So we're going to do a buy or sell real quick on that. But first, before we go to that, I'll get Jackson Ray. Let's go to Manuel here for the some draft talk. Manuel, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Yes, sir. I was just thinking, everybody's so worried about if we stick and pick with Cam Ward. I mean, that makes the most sense. Why would we not? We've been needing the quarterback since Steve McNair left. Jake Blocker, BY, he was good for about the first 2 or 3 years. Then after that, we've been looking for a quarterback since Hasselbeck. What was the other quarterback we had?
Tannehill?
They call him something. Man, either way, get a quarterback, and then let's go from there. Let's build a team around Cam Ward. I'm not going to – I really would also say let's go ahead and give Restrepo, if we can, 7th round, 6th round, or unrestricted free agent. Let's just surround Cam Ward with everything that he needs to be successful. But I'll just go ahead and hang up and let y'all do your thing.
For sure. I'm with you. I do think it's going to be Cam Ward. As much as I would embrace the darkness that is not having a quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, I do think it's going to be Cam Ward, and I do think that the Tennessee Titans are going to make certain moves to build around Cam Ward this draft. Whether that is Xavier Restrepo or not, I don't know. Never know how the draft is. Because once like Justin Melo said at the top of the show, once day 3 starts, it's pretty much the most chaotic day of them all. So we'll see how that rolls. All right. You ready, Jackson?
Yep.
Buy or sell? Read them to me.
All positives on Josh Simmons' medicals. KC, a common fit.
I'm buying that for 2 reasons. First reason is I've heard that multiple places. Second reason is that it serves the purpose of the perfect mock draft where I have Josh Simmons going to Kansas City.
This is from Ryan Fowler, by the way. I don't know if you mentioned that. Tight end 1 isn't cut and dry. Loveland, Warren, and Taylor, each with a tight end 1 label for certain teams.
Sell.
But
this is a half a sell for me, or a third of a sell. I can see the Loveland Warren thing, even though I don't fully buy into it. I can see 1 or 2 teams having Loveland 1. that sounds like cope because they don't think Warren's going to fall to them. But I am completely selling this idea that Mason Taylor is a tight end one. I'm just completely selling it.
I'm selling as well. I think Tyler Warren's the clear-cut tight end one.
I agree.
Walter Nolan stock up. Buy.
Hey, buying it. It works for the draft again. My perfect 32 for 32 mock draft you can hear at the top of the hour. You can hear that on wherever you get your Zone TV podcast, 105 The Zone. He's going in the top 12.
Top of the offensive line class will go early, very early.
Yeah, I had 3 going into the top 10 of the class, so I do believe that in this instance that is also true because those would be the 3 top offensive linemen in this class for sure. And that would be Will Campbell to the Patriots, Kelvin Banks to the Raiders, and then Armand Membu to the Jets. That would be 3 offensive linemen in the top 7 picks. What you got next?
Surprised if Trayvon Henderson isn't a first rounder.
I don't know if I'd say I'm selling the surprise because I'm buying that Travion Henderson could be a first rounder. So I'm kind of selling one part of it, but buying another part.
All right, next one. Defensive back, wide receiver, linebacker, a focus of Rams tonight, not quarterback.
That, to me, sounds like a team wanting to trade back because they're going to focus on quarterback in the second round. So I'm going to buy that because I think that they are a good team if you're a quarterback-needy team to trade up for like a Jackson Dart or what have you. So, like, I could see that. I'm buying that. What about you?
I'm going to go ahead and buy that because I really like the way he plays. This is going to be our last one because we're running out of time. Minnesota, Carolina, New Orleans, Washington, talking trade back. Tennessee trade back up into round 1 for a wide receiver. Buffalo, a team to watch, specifically if Jahdae Barron slips.
Yeah, I would be super surprised. I would not be surprised by the Bills trading up. I'm buying that. I'm buying that Minnesota, Carolina, New Orleans, and Washington all want to trade back because they've all been linked to being trade back. But I am selling. And I'm going to put it in stone. I'm writing it in stone to close out the show. The Tennessee Titans will not trade back up into round 1 for a wide receiver. I do not think that's going to happen. I'm selling it. And I'm going to tell you this, I don't think that they're going to draft Luther Burden if he's there at 35 either from everything that I've heard. I do not. That makes me very sad too. That will do it for us. It's a solo show today. Guess what? It's not a solo show. Jackson Behind the Glass. Thank you, Jackson, for keeping me entertained and talking to me, even when you don't want to. Stoney Keeley of Football and Other F Words and the Hot Read Podcast, Sobros Network, will join me in the chair across from me tomorrow. We're going to cover everything that happened in the draft. We'll also have Jordan DeJaney as well. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. 3HL's up next. And in the meantime.
And in between time?
Peace.
Peace.
Two Rivers Ford announces employee pricing for everyone. Every tradesman, every dad, every rising star. You pay what we pay. Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned. American made.